It's a bit of a Windows week at the MrMobile studio as we go from a review of Microsoft's latest laptop to one of its partners' newest smartphones. But where the story of the Surface Book is great hardware enhanced by powerful software, the truth of the Idol 4S is more like solid hardware suppressed by a platform widely regarded as dead.
He's dead, Jim.
But it's not. And now it has more VR, for some reason. I'm Michael Fisher with a review of the Idol 4S with Windows 10. If this looks familiar, it should. It's the same Idol 4S that you can get running Android, which is based on the same reference design Alcatel parent TCL used to build the D-Tech line for BlackBerry. That means you get the same metal and Dragon Trail glass construction with the same forward and aft speaker ports above and below the screen. Just as on the other Idols, those speakers are loud and quite clear. The display in this case is a 5.5-inch panel with full HD resolution. That's not as sharp as some of the siblings, but it is an AMOLED panel, which is just the perfect fit for Windows Mobile's deep blacks and rich colors. And the button formerly known as the Boom key has been pressed into service as a dedicated camera launcher. It's not a two-stage shutter button, but it's still nice to have. While we're on the subject, let's take a look at that 21-megapixel camera's best and worst. Coming as I was from a Google Pixel, this is a pretty slow shooter, even in automatic mode, and enabling HDR really slows things down. As it turns out, though, HDR is really too aggressive anyway, and often washes out the shadows in photos, so I learned pretty quickly to leave it off. Despite the phone's biggish camera hump, there's no optical stabilization here either. The electronic anti-shake doesn't seem to do much, especially if you've used something with really great electronic image stabilization. Pro tip, there's a shortcut here that lets you hold down the camera button to jump right to recording video. Cool, right? No, it's not, because it only records these so-called moments in XGA resolution. And there's nothing in the UI that warns you about that ahead of time, so you can't tell you've shot a crappy video until you've imported it to your computer later on. That's not the end of the letdowns. For one thing, that power standby key way up on the left side is only going to be good news for southpaws. And unlocking the phone with the fingerprint is damn near impossible on the first try because there are no physical cues around the sensor to help you feel it out. And once you finally do, you don't get a confirmation vibration buzz or anything, you just have to wait for the slow software to unlock. Also, the hardware is so slippery, you want to keep an eye on it no matter where you set it down. Fortunately, battery life is good. This phone usually lasts me about 12 hours with moderate use. Quick Charge 3.0 means it's quick to top up, too. And voice calls on my end are very clear, though one caller commented on a mild harshness on his end, like my voice was peaking. I didn't hear that from anyone else, though. So, shall we finally talk about Windows 10 Mobile? Okay. Well, for a dead OS, it feels mighty fresh. The ghost of Windows Phone still has the best home screen game in the business, with email and calendar appointments and news and notifications all available at a glance. Yeah, I know, half of you think this is too busy or confusing, so you know what? Here, you can live simply if you want. Remnants of this platform's former near greatness litter the interface, but most of it is right here on the start screen. The great tragedy, of course, is this. Most everything beneath that start screen is subpar. Windows 10 Mobile has taken strides in the past year, but it's still markedly less stable than the competition. When listening to TuneIn Radio on the Idol today, I got a text message whose notification sound broke the audio, and I spent the next 5 minutes trying to get the phone to resume that audio stream. And then there's the ecosystem. It's great to use a Windows phone that finally has official apps for things like Facebook, Instagram, and Slack. Yay, progress! But you know what I'm going to say? Those apps don't work as smoothly as their iOS and Android counterparts. A lot of them crash a lot of the time, and they're slower to get updates. And for every official app from a major publisher, there are others being pulled from the store or just being ignored to death by disenchanted developers. And no, there's still no Snapchat. That's okay if you're a manager buying the Idol 4S for your workers, though. The phone sports a USB-C connection, so you can plug it into a Continuum dock. Suddenly, you're running a stripped-down Windows 10 PC, complete with full-screen versions of the Office apps that come with the phone. This is how Microsoft envisions people of the future working from their mobile devices. Their phones literally are their computers, which they take from terminal to terminal. Windows phones are increasingly making appearances in the hands of, for example, police officers these days. With Continuum, Microsoft hopes to make them attractive to more white-collar workers as well, as the sort of work phone of the future. Why, then, does this phone come packing a virtual reality headset in the box? Well, most likely it's because its Android version does, and Alcatel didn't want to repackage a bunch of phones for Microsoft. At least the company committed to it. We're looking at no fewer than 9 VR-related titles pre-installed out of the box. But this is by no means the official launch of VR on Windows 10 Mobile. It's a watered-down Google Cardboard, experienced on a screen that's not too sharp when it's an inch from your eyeballs, controlled by capacitive buttons that don't always work well. You're going to use it for 5 minutes, and then forget about it. So, at $469, or $20 a month for 24 months on T-Mobile, what's the word on whether this phone is worth it? Well, the same as it always is for a Windows mobile phone. If you're already on the platform, looking to replace your aging HTC One M8, say, the Idol 4S is totally worth your consideration, especially since it's half the price of the platform's current flagship, the Elite X3 from HP. The Idol 4S has good looks, great audio, Continuum, and good battery life. If, though, you're wondering whether you should jump to Windows Mobile from another platform, and you're not talking about buying a fleet of these for your business, then no, this is not the phone to justify that jump. At the moment, in my opinion, nothing is. As we so often say with regard to Windows Mobile, maybe tomorrow. See what Windows Phone could have been with my Nokia McLaren hands-on, and see what Windows 10 currently is with my latest laptop videos. Subscribe to MrMobile on YouTube. Till next time, thanks for watching, and stay mobile, my friends.